It's 2026, the year of Pokemon's 30th anniversary, and with all the rumors swirling around that Gen 10 might be right around the corner, I wanted to talk about where I hope the franchise goes next. I just wrapped up Pokémon Legends CA recently, and I actually ended up liking it quite a bit. There's a lot the game does right, and of course, it's not perfect, but I generally left feeling more positive about it than I think most people did. And that experience got me thinking about the next mainline Pokémon game and what I'd like to see from a game design perspective. So I thought it'd be cool to do a video talking about my hopes, or I guess you could say my wish list, for how the Pokemon franchise should move forward. Let's get into it. One of the biggest things I'd like to see the Pokemon franchise continue and expand upon is making exploration a core design pillar in their games. Going all the way back to Gen 1, one of the best feelings in Pokemon is discovering and encountering a rare Pokemon. That wow moment when you run into a rare Pokemon and scramble to try to catch it has always been one of those fundamental aspects of the games that makes Pokemon what it is. And I think in some of the newer entries where they've moved to this open world design with Pokemon spawning in the overworld, they've actually done a good job of maintaining that feeling, if not making it better. For example, in Pokémon Legends Arceus, one of the best parts of the game is turning a corner and seeing some rare alpha Pokemon ready for you to fight and catch. Pokémon Legends ZA does a decent job of evoking that same feeling, though I do think having the wild zones in ZA lessens that experience to some degree compared to Legends Arceus or even Scarlet and Violet. But there's still that feeling of exploration and discovery when you're running around on the rooftops in Lumio City and you suddenly see some rare Pokemon spawn. That's one of the best feelings in Pokemon, and I think they should take that and go even further. So what do I mean by that? Well, I think there should be even more secrets, more hidden things scattered throughout the world. I really want exploration to be this core part of the game where players who take their time to explore every nook and cranny actually get rewarded, whether that's with rare items, rare Pokemon, or whatever it might be. This also means that the level design needs to be modified a bit. In the old games, going into a cave felt intimidating because you could actually get lost in all of its twists and turns. But in the modern games, they've made caves and other dungeons much more linear, with maybe one or two paths forking off the main one. I think it'd be good to find a better balance here while making the exploration more rewarding. Another idea that I think would be cool is to bring back roaming encounters. I'm talking about how in Gen 2 you could randomly run into Entei in a patch of grass. I want to bring that back in a modern interpretation. In Pokémon Legends CA, they have set spawns for specific Pokémon, so whenever you go to that area, you'll generally see the same set of Pokémon spawn there. I want roaming encounters back. It'd be really cool if randomly while you're just running around, you see some wild legendary spawn in and start attacking you. I want the game to capture that feeling again. Alright, let's move on to the next thing on my list. I think progression in Pokemon games should be built around adventure. In the earlier Pokemon games, they always felt like a journey by the time you got to the end. A large part of that is because you're actually going on an adventure across the entire map. Your objective is to collect all 8 gym badges and then get to the Elite Four to become the Pokemon champion. That adventure, having to travel across the entire map, go to different cities and earn gym badges, I think that core design principle is great. If I were to innovate on the Pokemon series, I personally don't think that's the aspect that needs to be changed too much. I'm really talking about this from the perspective of playing Pokémon Legends ZA, where one of the main progression systems is the ZA Royale. I liked what they were going for, but in execution, it just felt really repetitive and grindy. While it was cool to see yourself move up the ranks, I just think the way they went about it, you really lost that sense of adventure. I know part of that has to do with how Legends ZA was structured, but I want Pokemon games moving forward to have that sense of adventure where you're going on a journey. I want it to feel like by the time you finish the game, you've actually been on an epic journey. The older games did that so well, and I think that's something worth preserving for the newer games as well. Alright, let's move on to the next thing. One of the more surprising things about Pokemon Legends ZA were the side quests. I was actually quite impressed by how unique each of them felt and how rewarding they could be. Sometimes you get rare Pokemon from them or rare items, and each side quest sometimes had quirky characters or interesting scenarios. I actually liked that a lot, and they were nice, short world-building vehicles for the game as well. And I think that's a huge opportunity where the next mainline game can take that system and really expand upon it. Like have a big side quest chain that carries on throughout your entire journey. That'd be really cool. Or bring back some of those crazy side mechanics, like how in Gen 3 we had Pokemon contests, or in Gen 4 we had the underground system. You could build an entire side quest chain that revolves around new mechanics like that. I think that would be fascinating and could really flesh out the games. I like what they did with the side quests in Pokémon Legends CA. I just think if you take them a little further, you could really be cooking. Alright, let's move on to the next thing. Okay, this next one is maybe a little pie in the sky given the history of the Pokemon Company, but man, is it time to add voice acting. Especially in Pokemon Legends EA, I thought they had such good characters in terms of character design and cutscene direction, and it just completely falls flat without voice acting. It's so strange, you're watching a cutscene of some intense interaction, and there's just nothing. No sound, you're just clicking through dialogue boxes. Pokemon Legends ZA really opened my eyes to how much this franchise needs voice acting. I can't believe it's 2026 and we're still not there yet. But look, I get it. I understand it's expensive. I understand that Pokemon is huge and they'd have to localize to many different languages. I get all of that, but this is one of those things where I really think it would go a long way toward making these games feel modern. But let's move on to the next thing. In Pokemon Legends ZA, they switched to a brand new real-time battling system. And with the upcoming release of Pokemon Champions, which seems really geared toward the competitive scene, it feels like for the first time it's possible that the next Gen 10 game might not be turn-based, because they have Pokemon Champions to keep the competitive scene intact with turn-based battles. Personally, I don't think it would be that shocking if they decide to keep the real-time battle system for Gen 10. I just think that if they do, they have to make some changes. Of course, I really appreciated them innovating the battle system this way. Real-time battles are something every Pokemon fan has probably dreamt of since they first started playing. I just don't know if the execution in Legends ZA really hit for me. And part of that is that during battles, you controlled the trainer. I think if I were to improve the system, you should be able to control the Pokemon during battle. Defensive maneuvers like dodging and repositioning just felt really awkward with the way it's currently implemented. That said, I do think they did a pretty respectable job of making it still feel like Pokemon battling, with the type weaknesses, items, and move effects. If you think about all the different systems in Pokemon that have built up over the years, there are actually a lot of different mechanics, and I think they did a respectable job translating them into a real-time system. The one major omission is that they completely left out abilities, but I get it, that would make things even more complicated. So yeah, I think they've built a decent foundation for a real-time battle system, but personally, I think there's a lot of room for improvement as well. But I appreciate the innovation and I hope they keep it going. The last thing I want to touch upon, and this is something people will always talk about with the new Pokemon games, is performance and graphics. I'll just start by saying this. My bar is not that high for Pokemon games. I know that's unfortunate considering how much money this franchise makes, but it seems like this just isn't a big priority for them. On the positive side, I felt like the performance of Pokemon Legends CA on Switch 2 was great for me personally. I had no complaints. It's a solid 60 FPS, and given the issues with Scarlet and Violet on Switch 1, I'm thrilled that we were able to get here. Even graphically, the image quality itself was acceptable. Like, as far as I remember, there weren't any just egregiously low resolution textures or low poly models. It's just that they have to do more from a design and art perspective. A lot of people have been making memes about how all the city buildings are just flat textures. And yeah, I agree. They've got to do more than that. I think there were times when the game actually looked quite good. The level of detail on character clothing or even some of the Pokemon models was pretty good by Pokemon standards. I just think they need to put in a bit more effort than they're putting in now. I've talked before on this channel about how Scarlet and Violet's performance on Switch 1 really ruined those games for me, despite me liking a lot of what they did from a game design perspective. Hopefully with Switch 2's more powerful hardware, that won't be a concern anymore. But you never know with Game Freak and the Pokemon Company. I'm not looking for technical showpieces. I just hope that with the next Gen 10 game, they can deliver something that meets modern standards. Alright, well, that'll do it. Those are my high-level thoughts after playing Pokémon Legends CA on where I'd like the Pokémon franchise to go with their next mainline game. I'm pretty excited to see what they have in store for Gen 10. As I said at the start of the video, I personally quite enjoyed Legends ZA, probably more than I was anticipating and more than the consensus, I think. I still probably like Legends Arceus slightly more, but Legends ZA was still a good time. But yeah, that'll do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, it helps out a lot, and let me know in the comments what you hope to see in the next Pokemon game. Alright, thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.